I'm James Wedmore, and with 17 years online, I've built my business to over $12 million in sales per year. And this is the first non-business business podcast that shows you how to apply the principles of spirituality, energy, and mindset to grow your business beyond your wildest dreams, all from the inside out. This is the Mind Your Business podcast. All right, and Thanya, you're in the studio in Sedona. Welcome. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm awesome. This place is so fantastic.
Yeah, we put this together really quick, so you're one of our first in-studio guests. So thank you for coming back on the show.
I'm honored. Yeah, it's been
You're a really special client, student, and case study. You won the 2020 or 2021 from your 2020 journey BBD case study contest. You shared a great, we'll link that episode up because that was a great story of your journey and foray out of the physical world of a brick and mortar into the digital world. Since then, catch us up to speed. Like, what's your business like today?
My goodness. So yeah, the last time we connected, I think I had just hit like my first 300,000 in 8 months. And I was like pinching myself. Is this real? Like, how is this even happening? Fast forward to now, we have a 6-person team. We're doing $1.5 million a year for the last 2 years in a row and are rocking and rolling. I actually had a team meeting this morning and I realized I haven't written an email or a piece of content in 2 months since our last launch. But the pieces of content are getting written, just not by me. And I, for the first time, feel that I'm actually the CEO of a company, and it's not just me bootstrapping it behind my computer for 16 hours a day, which is how it was for the first couple of years.
And I want to unpack that. But before I do that, congratulations on the success. It's so awesome.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions about all that. Number one, where you are today, was that part of the vision? Is that where you thought you'd be? Has this exceeded those original expectations when you're like, I'm going to take this thing on the interwebs?
So it has far surpassed any of my expectations. At the beginning, I really just was trying to pay my bills and that
replace
the brick and mortar and maybe a little bit more. But
can we ask today, like, how much was the brick and mortar doing? Like, what kind of money does that bring in?
The company itself was doing $250,000 a year, of which I was taking home $3,000 a month. Like, all of it was going to expenses.
And everything else went to expenses. Like, that's what was left over. And
yes,
that was like
as a business owner, I was paying myself $3,000 a month in Los Angeles. It's not a livable. It is, but it's not. And so I was teaching yoga at yoga studios and gyms around town to supplement my own income as the owner of a yoga studio.
You never told me that. Oh my God.
Yeah, I was teaching at Equinox all over town. Because like there was a bit of ego wrapped up in Equinox, but also because they paid me well and I needed it. Yeah. So this not only has that largely surpassed, but I can't believe that I'm now able to provide a really good living for an entire team of people who now like depend on this for their livelihood and who love what they do. And like I'm able to not just provide a salary, but also joy, like a joyful, a joyful lifestyle.
Because they're virtual.
They're all virtual. They're all over the world. I don't have anybody in the same state as me, let alone the same city. And it runs like a well-oiled machine. It was painful to get here. You've held my hand through all that pain.
Yeah.
But it's been tremendous, and I had to get out of my way because my vision was always smaller than what it's turned out to be, and it can still grow exponentially. But I find myself holding back the growth because of fear, because of limiting beliefs, because of.
You find yourself today doing that?
Much less, but I was. Yeah.
So I want to unpack all that, but I think there's something else I want to point out. What is like the average range price point of your offerings?
So our bread and butter offer that we sell on Evergreen is a $247 product. Yeah. This year we started leaning in. I have a $127 product that we've been pushing a little bit this year, and it's doing well. And not on Evergreen when I launch. So I launch and I have Evergreen. When I launch, the product is $575. So we're playing in the lower ticket.
You're playing. Bucket. You have a 7-figure business in low ticket offers, which is, I know there's a lot of people. Did you have that belief of you can't make a lot of money selling a low ticket offer on the internet?
Yes. Well, I didn't necessarily, I had seen evidence that it was possible, and I thought that it was going to take a lot more than it actually took.
Right. Wow. So there was maybe we can use a term like a level or a milestone or a plateau that you hit, which was making 300 plus K, like, hey, I can do this and this is real now. And now you've broken through this whole other plateau. Take me first back to that resistance where part of you knew you could do more, but you were holding back. Take us through that. What was that about? Where were you holding yourself back from?
There have been so many layers of this. One layer was I'm the only one who can do it as well as I can do it. I don't trust that anyone else will hold my business, will hold the words, will hold the content, the copy as well as I hold it. So I was actively hiring people and then not letting them do their jobs. Which is really
Does that
fun.
not work?
It doesn't. So that was a great breeding ground for resentment and all kinds of fun things that I created. Yeah. But then I got to see it and I got to work through that. So part of it was self-importance. I need to be needed. And if I'm not the one doing the clicking, doing the writing, doing all of the things, then who am I? Fully knowing that you're the visionary. Yeah. You were the content creator, the top line, but I didn't grasp that. I wanted to be in the weeds because that's where I got my self-worth. If I'm not super busy, if I'm not spending 16-hour days, if I'm not working to the bone, then I'm not earning it. And that was, I learned that from
Were you
family.
Aware of that? Of course, yeah. Were you aware of that while that was happening? Was that like hit you like a ton of bricks as an awareness?
I was aware of it and in beautiful denial of it. So I knew, but I was like, la, 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 la.
Denial that it needed to change. It was like,
yes, no,
it's like, well, so what? What's the big deal?
This is fine. This is
great.
This is great. I don't have time off. I don't have friends. I don't have hobbies. I don't do anything. I just grind.
Yeah, it's like
this
you could
fine.
Justify
yes.
it. It's like, what's wrong with this? I'm a business owner.
This is totally fine.
I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm thrilled.
Was there a breaking point? How did that change?
There was a breaking point in the sense that it all became too much to manage. Like I literally was just overflowing with too many things to do, and my sanity was suffering. I had a loving partner to shine a light and a mirror to be like, well, I don't see you. We don't get to spend time together. You created this business to create freedom, and you've created the opposite. You've created a prison. And so that reflection was helpful. But ultimately, I wish I could say, like, I hit rock bottom and then this thing happened. But I think it's just over time, you start to see I am the stop. I am the block. Like, there's so much potential here, and I am the one that's stopping it from growing. I'm stopping the impact we can have on people because of my ego, because of my self-importance. And when I finally said, you know what? I'm going to trust that the people that I put on this team are not just as good as me, but they're better.
Yeah. Well, isn't that a trip? They could actually be doing whatever their role is better than you could be doing.
And that, you know what? That was an aha moment. That is a choice that we can make, to see somebody small or to see somebody big. Yeah. And I was choosing to see them small because it kept me bigger. And I needed to be bigger in order to feel like I mattered. And when I said, you know what, screw this. What got me here won't get me there. Thank you, James. That's great. I can keep being the best one in my company, but I don't want that. I genuinely want them to thrive. I want to make a bigger impact. I want to get out of the way, and I want to have time. Yeah. And for that, I needed to let them fly. And we are in the middle of a giant migration to a new software, which I never thought I would do.
Which software, if you don't mind me asking?
Course Creator 360.
Okay.
I never thought I would leave where we started, and we get to because our hands are tied. Yes, and our hands are tied with the current software that we're using. And my team, I don't know if I can say this, they've got lady boners about all of the migration stuff.
Yeah, there's a first for everything on the show.
I got a message from my integrator. She was like, "Oh my God, I'm having so much fun. Look at this Loom. Look what we could do with the new software and stuff that I do not want to be the one to do that." They are lit up because they're in their zone of genius. They're running with it. And I'm like, I could still be pulling on the reins. I'm so glad that I've had that awareness. And again, I wish that I had a major aha moment for when that happened. It's a bunch of little things, and it's time. And this is one thing that for those of you who are starting out in business, it's you can hear something 52 different times. And sometimes we're just not ready to hear it until we're ready to hear it. And we have to grow into it. And sometimes that growth comes with pain. It comes with challenge and struggle and frustration. But I'm the type of person, I've got to go through it the hard way. You can't just give me the easy card and I'll take it. No, I gotta I gotta prove that was the hard way, and then I'll take the easy card.
Now I got the message.
Yes.
The team did that old way of managing. Were they able to shift to this new way, or is it just a new team and those people?
They were begging for it.
Okay.
And I think they actually bared with me a lot longer. I mean, they could have just been like, screw this, we're out. But we have a very fun work environment, which I think is part of the reason why we have great retention. But they're chomping at the bit to be allowed to fly and thrive. And I kept being like, no, hold on, let me read that. Oh, hold on, let me check that. Hold on, let me. And I think they were just like, oh, thank God, some breathing room.
Right.
But even now, there's like, do you want to review this? Do you want to? I'm like, you know what? I trust you. And if there's a typo in it, we're going to find out once it goes out and somebody else points it out. Yes.
That's so awesome. Yeah. So where is your time spent now in the business when you're working?
You know what? For the first time this year, I just did some very fascinating psychotherapy over the last couple of months that has totally swung me to the other extreme of like, crazy, can't stop working because I love it so much and I just always want to be in it, to I don't want to do anything. And when we closed our launch on January 15th, until the second week of February, I didn't work. I didn't I did the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And then I just created space. And I've gotten so many downloads in that time of things I want to do new ideas. And I'm just like, people have been telling me this whole time, but I was so holding on so tightly that there was no room for that. And so when I work now, I create content. So I'm still the one that's, creating our social media content and filming reels and things. I'm thinking of new ideas, like new promotions we can do, new messaging that we can try for a particular program or particular offer, having time to think about migrating softwares. So bigger picture stuff that's actually moving the needle, like throwing the ball down the field.
And you have visions to go even bigger from here? Or are you like, you know what? Let's just get this thing well-oiled and stay here.
So this is the interesting part. Because I'm part of your mastermind and because I'm in community with successful business owners, I find myself saying we have to do more. We have to sell more. We have to grow. I didn't mean to do $1.5 million 2 years in a row. I meant to grow, but we didn't grow. And now okay, so why didn't we grow? Is it because I don't actually want it? Shocking. If you don't actually want it, you will not receive what you're asking for. So I think part of it is I'm in the conversation of, do I want more, or do I want more because I'm supposed to want more? Because everybody around me says I should want more. Because I come from a family of entrepreneurs that says 1.5 is not enough. Where's 3? Where's 5? And where's 10 million? But if I ask myself, I just want to cruise at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm making enough money for myself. I'm investing for the future. I'd love to be able to pay my team a little bit more, but we can do that with what we are currently doing. And I'm like, I actually want to start a different business. I want to start a real estate business that's got nothing to do with this.
Right.
And I want to take, we're just talking to Mel outside. Those of you who don't know Mel Abraham, you should know him. We're just talking about your business is the machine that creates the money. And then once you have the money, you invest the money.
Yes.
The business is not the thing that needs to continue being your everything day in, day out.
Yeah.
So now my partner and I are looking to invest in a bunch of real estate properties and smaller ones and building a portfolio.
I love this.
And doing that because, yes, I could say, okay, now I want to grow this business to 5 million, and I might still.
Right.
But the pressure that caused for me to declare that and then have to chase it because I said so and not because it was coming from this internal drive, I was like, you know what? Abort mission.
It's so good. And I have so many thoughts about that because I had someone come to me in the mastermind a few years ago and they had gotten to 2 million and they're like, okay, I think I want to go to 10 and I know you did that. So can I ask you a bunch of questions? And I was like, do you really want to go to 10? Do you really want to, or do you just think that's what you're supposed to do next? And my business was at 2 and I was selling I had a $49 a month membership and a $200. I was 100 and I raised it to 200. So it was both $200 online course. And I would surf twice a day. And when I say surf twice a day, it's 3-hour sessions. Okay. Like sun up, surf session, work, and then sunset session. And that was my whole life. And there was a purpose, mission driven part of me that was like wanted to come through of something bigger. And we took it to 10, and I can't sit there and say I surf for 6 hours a day and only work for an hour or two, you know? And I also go, at any time I can pare it back to that. And at some point I will. And so I think what you're at such a great moment and such a great conversation, which is the answer isn't just to grow because you're supposed to grow or because someone else is making more or whatever. In fact, the only thing you should be looking at is, sure, let's grow without any cost. And if the game can be, yeah, we'll make more revenue, but if it doesn't cost any more. And what I mean in cost now is more time, more resources, more energy. It's, hey, if I just keep performing better in my launch and it converts higher and that brings us 20% more than before, then we'll receive that. We'll take that. It's the same output of energy, but we're not going to do the type of growing right now where it's like, we got to hire 5 more team members. I'm going to set up 3 events a year. I'm doing you know, it's like, well, those are the costs to it. And I think finding that sweet spot for us where instead of looking at it of growth this way, if it's got to make more money, it's growth in a different sense, which is how do we maintain this if you maintained this for 5 to 7 years with that healthy profit margin and then do smart things with that money, you are being smarter than I would say 90% of the successful entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah.
And most people do not think that way. And they will actually, at the sake of, which I think you figured out before you got like a little rock before a boulder, is you got that lesson before it gets really bad. Because some people will implode their business for the sake of growth. They will spend themselves into oblivion just so they can grow.
I had those conversations with myself too. Last year, I probably spent $100,000 on throwing spaghetti at the wall, signing up for random stuff I didn't need, random programs, like the new thing that's working now that's not really new at all, but it's just packaged fancy because we got to grow, because I declared 2 million and we're not going to make 2 million. And what does it say about me if I declare and we can't make it? Nothing. It says nothing about you other than maybe the goal wasn't that important, right? And this year I'm like, the growth can be in so many different ways. It can be in who I get to be as a leader, how I get to empower my team to lead their respective departments, maximizing profitability. There's so much.
Like how little can I work and still,
and how little can I spend? I built my entire business with ads. And this year, this is part of my personal growth. After every single launch, we would close the doors because that's what we do after a launch. And because we run launch and evergreen, I was like, when can I turn the ads back on for the evergreen stuff? As soon as a launch closed, I would have no more than 3 days go by before I was like, we have to keep making money. We haven't made any sales. We haven't made any sales. We just did $200,000 last week. What is your problem?
I know.
But that like panic of like, we have to make sales. What is today? The end of mid-February. I closed my launch January 15th. I haven't turned the ads back on.
Yeah.
It's been a month.
Wow.
That's unheard of. And guess what? My sales have been better than when the ads were on. Isn't that crazy? Because I'm now not spending $6,000 a month to get the same amount of sales. And I'm like, the sales are coming organically from channels that they were sort of trickling in from, but all of a sudden that has just like taken off. And I'm like, okay, so what you're saying is when something is working, even if you shut one thing off, something else is going to start working. And it's just playing with the dials. Where do we open the faucet a little bit more? If we close this faucet, we got to trust we can turn up the volume on the other one, or another faucet will start leaking and then we can turn that one on. I don't know what metaphor. I was just listening to your podcast episode from today about your metaphors, actually.
Yeah.
So it's my leaky
what a
faucet.
Metaphor.
Yeah.
You mentioned you did some psychotherapy?
Ketamine-assisted psychotherapy.
Okay.
I now want to talk about that all day, every day to anybody who will listen.
Speak about that on the show?
Yes. So ketamine-assisted therapy, from my understanding, ketamine is a substance that's been used for decades as an anesthetic in surgery. And over the last 20, 30 years, they've discovered that if they bring you to a state before you fall asleep for anesthesia, it puts you in a state like, it's not a hallucinogenic, what's the name? Psychedelic. So it puts you in a state where you now have access to another dimension that you don't have access to when you're like you and I are right now. And I got to see in these states, okay, I mean, you're tripping balls. Let's be honest. You're tripping balls. But I got to see my stress levels. I saw myself running on a treadmill, on an electrocuted treadmill with a bunch of little yellow minions, the little cartoon characters.
Of course I do.
And we're running on this treadmill and I'm getting electrocuted. Not really, I'm sitting in a chair chilling out, but the experience was I'm getting electrocuted. And at one point I had a choice. Get off the freaking treadmill.
Yeah. Because you weren't going anywhere.
No, I was just getting electrocuted. But the experience in my body was the same experience that I would get after a launch when we turned the ads off and there's no sales coming in. And I stepped off the treadmill and I watched it just zoom out into the future. And I finished that session and I didn't go back to work for 3 weeks.
If you hadn't done that, it was only a matter of time before you're going to get sick.
Probably.
Because it's just not sustainable.
No. And then I had my romantic relationships have been struggled my whole life because I lost my mother when I was very young. And I asked the medicine to show me love. And it gave me the experience of being buried alive. I got to be buried alive in my own psyche. And I got to burrow out of being buried alive. And I got to see love to me felt like suffocation. And I got to bust through that. And I came out feeling love like I haven't felt in decades.
That's incredible.
If you're struggling with something, research ketamine-assisted therapy. That's all I'm saying.
Wow. How many sessions was that?
It's when you do a proper treatment, it's 6 sessions over a condensed period of time. I did it over 3 weeks. First couple of sessions, I was like, this is cool. I'm doing drugs legally.
I'm high.
Yeah. And by session 3, I got my butt kicked. And I was like, oh, I see how I am. I see how I am fueling how I am. And I see that I also have an off switch that I can choose to use at any time. So
when you've this space from the last launch to now, you're also not feeling that guilt that people feel when they're not working.
No. I felt a little bit of guilt because my team was working, but for the first time,
that's different.
I gave my team a whole week off after the launch.
But that uncomfortable feeling was I'm taking a day off, and I don't like that feeling. You're not.
Oh no, to the point where I actually got a little scared, and I was like, I think
I should be freaking out right now, but I'm not.
No, I said the medicine took away my work mojo. Where's my mojo?
Right.
For 2 weeks, I didn't want to sit at my computer. I was actively avoiding my inbox, and I was like, uh-oh, did I just break myself? Because if I don't get my work mojo back, we're in trouble.
Right.
It just needed to take me all the way to the other side so that I could find myself back in the center.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I've been there when I uncovered a lot of the core wounds that we then find successful strategies for that become drivers that make a lot of people entrepreneurs. I'll prove to them, I'll prove to dad, I'll prove this. And it drives you. And you're when you go on your own healing journey, you're like, well, I don't want to lose that because that's what got me here. That's just such a lie we tell ourselves is that is the only reason why you're successful, and without it you're gonna lose it all. And it's I've had this conversation with people because I know exactly what you're talking about. Where to me it's like the rocket ship going into space. Yes, you had the afterburner and the rocket and all the fuel and the flame to get you up there, and then once you're up there, we can release those and staying in orbit and going. You can actually go now and go further with way less effort.
Yeah.
And that's how life feels like for me, is because people have asked me about that all the time. And it's like, well, how many things do you need that drive and motivation to do that don't even amount to anything in your business? You're just staying busy. And then that's what did that actually do for the business? And what I find myself today is I work less, but there's no wasted time. I'm not well, you saw me before. I thought I didn't record the last episode, and that's that would have been a waste. But I'm not just sitting there starting writing 3/4 of a book and then walking away. You know what I mean? Or I'm I'm going to create this funnel or go down buy this course and learn this thing and then never finish it. And that's where you find that's where most people that are driven by those things end up doing. You're working more, sure, but nothing is coming to fruition from it. And so now you're I can rest more and work less, but when I do work, it's powerfully intentional, and it will produce more results. And it's more fulfilling because what is more exhausting than then pouring your heart and soul into something that you didn't finish, didn't turn into great results, lost your money. That's draining, but you do the one thing that works really well, and boom.
And boom.
Wow, I'm so stoked for you.
Thank you.
This is awesome. What a whole nother Evolution.
Yeah, it is. And I'm excited to see where we go from here because all of this, I mean, the therapy stuff I did was just now in this last month. So I'm excited to see what happens. But it's fascinating how the universe responds. It's all energy, right? And energy just responds to what you're giving out. And my last February, I was like, we must do $100,000 because I said so. And I declared 2 million. And if we don't do that in February, I missed it by $300. We did 99,700. And you know what? I was like, it's a short month. If it was a long month, we would have done it. So everything's fine.
Right. It's just February 28th. Wait, was it a leap year?
Yeah. And that was with ads, with me turning the ads back on immediately after the launch. This month, we've got no ads. We just hit 75K and we still have half the month to go. We're going to blow past that. And I didn't do shit for that. I mean, I'm, doing my thing, but I didn't do the, we have to do it stress that normally would have accompanied such a declaration.
And then I think bringing in the bigger vision of the financial portfolio and the strategy creates even more detachment from it because you're not seeking everything from your latest launch or whatever. And, yes, I just had Mel back on the show and we've been talking the last 24 hours and it really is, it's not even about how much money you have, but it really is how strategic are you with the money that you do bring in. Mm-hmm. And if you're bringing in any amount of money, you can start doing something to get that money to work for you. And if we're just staying in business, like it's a way of growth that people don't look at, which is like, oh, I grew by this much year after year or year after year. But it's like, what about just staying in business for 5 years and then taking that money and doing something with it? It's a whole different way to look at the business.
Sure.
And it is going to be a lot less stressful.
Yeah.
Because, hey, you started this thing 5 years ago now, and it's not like it went under and after a year. Even with all the stress and the go, it was, and things that didn't work, it still did amazing. Yeah. So it's like, can it also do amazing without all that?
Right. So now it's like, can it do amazing without me stressing?
You're about to find out.
Well, I'm finding out right now. And and I'm finding really like just time. Time is required in order to figure out who we are inside all of this. I feel like the first year of getting the business up and running is like, oh my God, is this real? Let's launch again. Oh, is it still real?
Right.
Like, and then there's figuring out, okay, where does team fit in? And after a few years is when you go, okay, who am I? And what do I want for my life? I love my dad, but so much of my money stuff is from my dad. Every single time we pick up the phone to call each other, he's, how's business doing? What are you guys doing this month? What are your numbers? I'm like, I don't want to tell you my numbers because that can't be the only question that matters.
Right.
But it is.
Yeah.
But that's who he is and who he's always been. And we get to connect on that. But I see like putting the numbers above everything, like what that has cost me. And now he asked me that question and I'm like, fine. I don't even want to talk about the numbers. You know what you should
do now is you have a new number. And the new number is like days off or something, right? It's like, good. We hit a new record. It's 6. What? Days off in a row. And that's your new number.
Like, what?
Because it is. It can still be about numbers. It's just about the metric that matters to you. It's like, 1. What's that? Hours per day I work? It's great. It doesn't get much lower than that. I'm rocking it.
Yeah. Yeah. And also getting to a point where I was willing to look at the money the business was making and be willing to part with it. Universe only hands you shit you need.
Yep.
Check this out. I met somebody 6 months ago, almost a year ago now, at a business networking event, not connected to the BBD community. And this person was a real estate investor, and I gave him $100,000 of my money that he just spent and disappeared with. And I lost it all.
Like a whole Ponzi scheme.
Like a whole Ponzi scheme. And I hired a lawyer and trying to get it back. I'm not going to get it back. But my worst fear was losing what I've built. So what did I manifest? An opportunity to lose a significant amount of money just to be like, you're still standing. Everything's fine. Your business is still there. That was an expensive lesson. But also the lesson was just, you can lose money and you can survive.
Yeah.
Because I had a story that if I lost that much money, it was only a matter of time before all of the other shoes also dropped and I was in a box under a bridge. Like,
I know, it's
go
crazy.
straight to the worst case scenario.
The stories and the scenarios we play out in our heads.
So I got to lose $100,000. Thank you, universe. And I got to see that I didn't die. And now I'm sitting, I'm like, okay, there's money in the business bank account. My instinct was, don't spend it, hoard it. Look what happens when you invest it. And I went, My brain wants to go, look what happens. Nope. That was a test of my resilience and my ability to lose money without freaking out. Where are we going to invest it?
Yeah.
And that's where we went. Real estate, but this time not through anybody. I'm doing it myself.
But
with
like
my
this
partner.
is like a networking event, and this guy is just here.
Yeah,
And
I fully believe the intentions were good. They just got caught up in market, whatever, and they didn't do the right thing, and they didn't tell their investors until everything was a lost cause. So I don't believe it was malintent, but it hurt.
But it
nonetheless.
happened.
Yeah.
But it happened.
Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, look, I manifested that on purpose just so I could learn how to lose $100,000.
Yeah. Better that than have to learn it in a bigger way.
Yes. So it all happens the way it's supposed to, even if we don't see it at first.
But that's good to see it that way too, even as you're going through it, because I think that's the key.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes things. It just makes it easier. It's never fun. I've gone through those things, where you're losing big chunks, or and going through a divorce will do that for you too. And there's something about being able to see it from that perspective of like, and people want to scoff at it, like, oh, it's too Pollyanna to say it's happening for you. And it's like, happening for you doesn't mean it's not painful and it's not really unfortunate and it's unfair and it's not something you'd wish on anybody. But there is something there to see. When you can see it that way, it says, there's a blessing in this for me. There's a gift for this in me. This is forcing me to pay attention to something, and I will learn and grow from this. Yeah. And that is, sadly, that's how we grow. Yeah,
sometimes you get the pebble, other times you get the boulder, but you get the
big ass boulder. Yeah,
one way or the other. And
that's a big boulder. It's a 100K boulder right there. But
and I'm so freaking proud of myself because it wasn't the only 100K I had. Nice job, Nat. Did I just say that? Did I just say that?
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it.
First of all,
that could have been all you had.
It could have been all I had. I would have been an idiot to invest if that had been all I had. But it wasn't the only one, and it really got to show me, like, who do I want to be? Because old Nat could have been like, oh my God, this is the worst. And I'm not gonna lie, I had 45 seconds of that.
You can still have that. You can have your human emotions.
Right. And then I was like, okay, so what now? What?
Yeah.
Like we can play in the woe is me, or we can go redirect. What is the lesson to learn? What am I gonna do or not gonna do next time? And what was I actually really deathly afraid of, that this just kind of took the edge off?
Right.
Because it happened and you're still standing. Right. So what were you really afraid of?
Right. And what else was I giving into fear with that I don't need to fear at all?
So many things, like being on the electrocuted treadmill with the minions. I thought if I stepped off of that treadmill, everything would fall apart. But not only was that not true, it's actually doing even better. So it's like so many stories we tell ourselves.
I know. And it's like the exact opposite is true.
You always say this, and I will echo it because it's true. Entrepreneurship is the greatest teacher of life, the greatest school of personal development. Like, I went through a lot of stuff before becoming an entrepreneur. Nothing taught me lessons like this is teaching me lessons.
It's bizarre. And it really is. It's not just entrepreneurship. It's this brand of entrepreneurship. The
selling pixels?
Yeah. Being a personal brand and selling your pixels that you created. Yes. It's not like you're selling iPhone cases on the internet, and it really does. It brings up a lot of stuff for us to look at. So, I'm so happy for you. I don't want to say proud because that sounds like condescending in a way, but like I'm happy. I'm impressed. I'm like, I hear it in your voice, and I've known you now for a long time, and so like this is a big deal because it wasn't sustainable. And I've been there myself in my life, and I got it too at around that same revenue level. I'm like, before you ever met me, I was there too. I got it. I'm like, this is gonna kill me, and it would eventually. We don't want that.
No.
And then you realize there's a whole nother level of growth, and it doesn't just have to be more money. It can be growth in every way. So, what is now on the horizon? Like, what does your 2025 look like for you right now?
Well, we've got our Holt for the first time. We have our entire year planned out. We know where everything is happening, which is
You don't even normally talk like this. You're like, yeah, everything's
No,
planned
we've
out.
got the
Everything's
whole year. We
you
know
just
exactly.
relax right now.
Yeah.
Like this is not the Tanya I've known for 4
No,
years.
it's great. We've got the whole year planned out. We've got our launches set. We're doing our third live in-person event for our community. That's just so much fun to bring everybody in person from all over the world. And I'm actually gonna deviate my focus a little bit to get this real estate thing up and running that I'm gonna be running with my partner. But I only want to do what brings me joy this year. Over the last 2 years, to reach the 1.5 million, I launched several offers that sucked my soul dry because I thought like I needed a this and that offer in order to get to this and that goal. And I saw the result of that, being a slave to then delivering on that offer for 12 months and being like, well, I don't want to do this. So this year, it's like, if it's not exciting, I'm not doing it. And if it means we actually do less than 1.5, as long as I'm able to compensate my team handsomely for their work, as long as I'm able to pay myself and there's left over, I don't really care if it's 1.5 or 1.3 or 1.25. It's all, at the end of the day, it's
exactly.
like
it doesn't. And if you can't do those things, then that's another issue to look at that people aren't looking at, which is you're running your business in an unhealthy manner. Yeah. So there's you running unhealthy, which we don't want anyone to do that, but then there's your business is unhealthy. If you're running in a 5% profit margin, you're going to be sitting there going, I have to make this money. Yeah, well, you shouldn't be running it that way. And I've been telling people now, whatever your business is generating at revenue, you should treat it like it only generates half of that.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna go drive yourself insane with all this. Like I have to. And it's like, if this next launch or promotion is do or die for you, it's not just about your launch that you have to look at. It's why does your business have to do or die based on this one launch? What are you spending? What are you making decisions on that puts you in that circumstance? And I never want to be in that circumstance. I don't want anyone else to be like that too. So this is so beautiful to hear. This is so awesome.
And I have to say, thank you. But like, I've been in your sphere now for 5 years, and I come to everything that you do.
You absolutely
do. And I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. Like we connect every few months, but you lead by example. You share your struggles. You share your challenges. You don't sugarcoat it. You lift under the hood. You're transparent, and I learned so much about how to be as a leader and as a mentor for people, and just like as a human. So thank you for being you.
That's very sweet of you to say. I appreciate it. That's why we do what we do, right? And we just pass it on. So anything else you want to share while you're here? This is awesome. What a great update.
Thank you. I just, if you're out there and you're doing this, no matter where you are in the process, be true to you. Like, I didn't even know what that meant at the beginning. Being true to me was like, can I make this work? And then being true to me was be a slave to the company that I'd created. But like, check in with yourself regularly. Like, is this what you want? Are you creating what you want? Do you feel good when you go to bed at night? And if it's not, you can always course correct, says the lady who took 5 years to course correct.
Yeah, but there's like huge course correct, and then there's like micro course corrects. Yeah. Like, I see people like do that in a very drastic way. Where it's like, I'm not going to do this business anymore. Completely. I'm totally pivoting. It's the niche, it's the offer, and it's like, well, maybe you just shouldn't be doing this part of it. Maybe you could just delegate that part, or get that off your plate. But you should always be checking in with, is this bringing me joy? Am I enjoying this? Is this lighting me up? Because if it's not, then why are you doing it? Yeah. There's something out there that will.
Yes. And don't get us wrong. When there's the stuff that you don't want to do that has to get done, and it can be done by a VA. Yeah. But like, there's the grunt work. We get to get past that, but at the core, you have to love what you do, and it has to light up your soul. Otherwise, Amen. What are we doing?
What are we doing? This short, precious life we live. So, Tanya, what's the best place we can connect with you and continue this conversation, follow you, learn from you, and stand on our heads?
If you want to come stand on your hands and follow me, at Yogi Flight School is my Instagram, and that'll springboard you to everywhere else.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming back on. I'm so happy for you, and hey, we're going to have a good retreat this week.
Heck yes. Thank you so much for having me back.
And thank you guys so much for tuning into the Mind Your Business podcast. We'll see you next time on the show.